Hi, welcome to my talk today. My name is Jillian Augustine and I'm a data scientist at Mondi. And today I will tell you a bit about how Mondi does digital. So maybe the name Mondi is not so familiar to you, so I would like to just give you a brief introduction of this. We are a company with around 26,000 employees, with around 100 production sites across the world, and we are a packaging and paper company. We have key operations in Europe, North America, and Africa, and we have a premium listing on the London Stock Exchange. And just to throw a number out there for you, our revenue in 2018 was around 7.5 billion euros. So we are quite a big company, and the reason why I tell you that, I want to tell you that even though you might not know the company, you are definitely using Mondi products. And this is because we serve a huge range of different industries. So for example, we serve the automotive industry, also the office material industry, food and beverages, and my personal favorite, which is e-commerce. And that's because I hate shopping, so I do all my shopping online. So Mondi has two headquarters, one in London and one in Vienna, Austria, where I am based. And sometimes we can go out to the production sites. And what happens when we go to the production sites, which are plants and mills and factories, is when I go there, I see lots of machines. I see huge machines moving around, lots of gears, lots of levers, lots of noise, lots of things happening, lots of products being made. And I also see machine operators looking at screens very intensively, looking and seeing which products are being made or looking at some information about the screen. And when I go into the factories and when I see this, it for me is really exciting because what I'm seeing when I see all this machinery, I'm seeing potential information and I'm seeing potential data. And as a data scientist, when I see data, I see potential improvements. Now, I'm not the only person, fortunately, in the company who thinks this. In fact, our CEO has said that he wants our company to be a global benchmark for a digitalized paper and packaging company. And this is a message which is spread throughout the company itself, and it's a message that we really want to push forward. And because this message is so crucial to Mondi, we have developed in the last year a digital transformation team. And the digital transformation team works to develop digital products, for example, machine learning models, predictions, dashboards, data analysis, in a combined approach with local factories. So in the central team, we are based in Vienna. We have a group of digitalization experts, and we have roles such as data scientists, engineers, digital project managers, digital product managers, and also agile coaches. And on the local side, we work closely with the local teams, which include factory managers, technical manufacturing experts, maintenance managers, and continuous improvement specialists. Now, as I mentioned, we have data scientists and data engineers in our data team. And what I'm very passionate about is making sure that data scientists and engineers can work well together. So if we look at some of the common pain points that data scientists and engineers might have in industry, I just mentioned a few of them here. So one is that managers are unsure of the skills that are needed when hiring. So I don't know how many of you have been looking for a job recently, or you're currently looking for a job. But sometimes when you look at a job description, it doesn't make sense. So there will be, for example, a company requiring 10 years job experience in a technology that's only been around for 5 years. And the reason why this happens is because managers are unsure of what skills are needed. They know that they need people with the skills, but they're not exactly sure what these skills are. A second point is that often we find that working as a data expert in a team, sometimes work is repeated unnecessarily. So in my personal case a few years ago, I was trying to troubleshoot something and I was finding it very frustrating and I couldn't quite work out how to do it. And I was trying to speak to the relevant departments, but it was just not going forward. And then I found out a few weeks later that actually my colleague, who sits quite close to me, already had the solution, but he got the solution forwarded to him in an email. And this is partially the reason why I don't like emails, because they are very untransparent. You can only get access to the information if you are lucky enough to be sent that email. So this is an example how two people can be working on exactly the same problem if we are not communicating together. A third point is that it can be difficult for data specialists to improve their skills. Now, this might seem like a strange point, but often when data specialists work together, work in industries, we are the single data expert in the team, which means we get a lot of experience at this specific area, in this specific field, and we become really good in what we are doing. But if we want to broaden our knowledge, if we want to find out similar related things, this can actually be quite difficult. And finally, as I mentioned, Mondi has over 100 production sites in various geographical locations. So in this case, and also in many corporate cases, communication over these geographical locations can be difficult. So now I'd like to go through these points and tell you how in Mondi we are approaching these pain points. So firstly, building the team. Normally, when you think of a hiring process, you might have a job interview, firstly with HR, and then maybe with the manager, your potential future boss, and then you meet the team at the end. And this is not how we do it. In our team, the hiring is done by the team and not the manager. That means that the candidate meets the team first. And the reason why is because we're a very technical team. And our manager is great, but he's not the best judge of whether a person technically fits in his team. So this is why the technical people are the first step in the hiring process, making sure that we are hiring the people with the skills. Because I've seen too often, or heard too often, of people who get overlooked because they are hired by people who do not appreciate the skills that they have. A second point is that we work in collaboration with university students. So we are very, very open to students coming and doing internships with us. And the reason is why when students are at university, they are gaining a great theoretical knowledge for the latest academic information, such as the latest AI algorithms and things like this. So we can really have a dual benefit if they work for us, do an internship with us. They can gain some practical knowledge, and we also get an insight into what are the latest goings on in academia. Another point is that we have a fast recruitment process. So pretty much all over the world, data scientists and engineers are highly sought after. And if this is the case, often there are many more jobs, many more positions available than people who actually need to fill them. So having a fast recruitment process can really help in this. And I think in my case, I was contacted by HR on the Thursday, I had the interview on the Friday, and I had the job offer the next Monday. And it goes that quickly. And finally, a point that we like to emphasize is that we have communities, and we work in communities instead of hierarchies. So, for example, I mentioned that the hiring process is done by the team, and this is because each person in the team is a key valued member, and each person in the team feels like they are part of the team. They feel like it is their team, and they feel like they can make decisions based on this. And we find this to be a much more effective way of working together. And also a very important point to us is the aspects of communication, for contribution and collaboration to each other. So when we get data experts, new data engineers and data scientists in the team, I go through a short data-specific onboarding process with them. And in this onboarding process, they have an active hands-on experience of contributing content, because we really want to emphasize that anybody in the team can contribute content. And in our case, we use the tools of Confluence and Jira. And in this first session, the new colleagues will go on to Confluence. They add their information, such as who they are, what their background is, what their strengths are, what they want to improve, this kind of thing. So then their face is already out there. They are already part of the team within the first few days. As I mentioned, personal strengths and areas for improvement is something that we all contribute to our collaboration space, and we all keep transparent. And this is a really important thing, because what you see often is that one person is wanting to learn a certain skill, maybe a certain programming language, and we have another person in the team who is already an expert in that language, so they can connect together. And maybe the person who's expert in that language also wants to improve their visualization, and they see that a third member of the team is an expert in that. So keeping this transparency really allows people just to connect directly with each other. Also in our community space, we write our own how-to articles. As I mentioned before, my personal experience of not being able to do something and somebody else having the solution. We just get all our experiences out there, all our tips and tricks on how we can work better together. And this really helps save time and work more efficiently. We also have references to web pages, books, blog articles, and also a key point which I ask people in the first steps of the onboarding process is if they have any new ideas or feedback. And it might seem strange sometimes to ask people for feedback when they've just started, but I find that asking people within the first few days they have really important things to say. They are coming from a different perspective. And we have a collection, actually. We collect a list of the tools, the software tools that we use, any certain packages that we use in Python and R, any visual editors that we use. We collect all this information, and there's never been a person who's joined the team and has said, okay, you are using everything I'm using, I have nothing to contribute. Because every single person who joins the team has something that can make the team better. We also have regular meetups. Now, I've mentioned multiple times that we are spread out geographically, but we have regular meetups on almost a monthly basis where everybody in the team makes an effort to physically be in Vienna. And then we can physically sit together and have a chat and catch up. And the reason why these regular meetups are great is because we can talk about, for example, our project work. Sometimes you're not a lot in contact with people, so you get to find out what are they actually doing on their projects. We talk about good standards of practice. So, for example, in the picture that I'm showing here, one of our data engineers had just finished giving a live demonstration of how he uses Git and GitHub to help collaboration between people working on the same team. And also, we talk about pain points and certain issues. Not everything is rosy, and it's really great to get people in a room discussing these issues and then coming up with solutions for them. We also have external events, so there are many meetups which are going on. If we find a meetup which is interesting, we share it with the group. Afterwards, we report back to the group what we really liked about it. We have weekly stand-ups in our team as well, so talking about what we did last week, what we do next week, what we really want to improve in the future. We have brown bag talks, which are talks if you just want to share something, you want to share your knowledge, you have something to contribute to the group, just send out a meeting, and then people who are interested can come and learn about what you have to say. And we also have agile gatherings, because working in an agile way is a way that makes sense to us. It's a very efficient way of working, it's a very sensible way of working, and then on a regular basis we get together to check, are we working in the most agile way possible? How can we improve the way we are working? Now, in the Mondi community, we have people from a range of different backgrounds. So we have people with expertise in various areas such as big data, time series analysis, container deployment, and others. And what normally happens, or what often happens in companies, is that you can have different business units that hire people individually. So, for example, you would have business unit 1 who hires a data expert who happens to be an expert in big data. And they work on a variety of topics A to E, but only in this individual business unit. And then business unit 2 hires another person who is an expert in time series analysis, and they work on topics only in business area 2. And so on and so forth with 3, 4, and 5. And what actually you notice if you look at all these topics and you look at all these projects is they are very similar across the different business areas. But because you have one person working in one business area alone, this knowledge is not communicated. So what we really try to do is have a cross-business exchange. So for example, in this case, you have the big data expert working on all big data projects across the different business areas. You have the deep learning expert working on all the deep learning things. And this is really essential to getting the most out of our data and the most out of our knowledge, because it allows somebody who has learnings from one project, failures, successes, what went well, what didn't go well, to directly apply that in another project. And the only way you can do it is if you have this cross-business exchange. So we can do a lot in the data team, in the data community, in the digital transformation team. But working alone in this team is not the end of the mission, so to say. We need to get the message across. And to get the message across, we really need ambassadors. And luckily for us, we have many of these ambassadors. They come in the form of operations managers who see the potential of the projects, project managers who guide the projects, process engineers, importantly, are the ones who see the benefits of the projects. And we can really improve the way they work and make their work easier. We have continuous improvement managers as well who improve the process. And we love to communicate. As a team, we love to talk to people in the company. Sometimes, though, it does help to get communications in there as well to spread the word. And as I mentioned briefly at the beginning, we create digital products. So, for example, machine learning models or advanced analysis. We produce these products in an agile way, which means that we work with certain roles such as digital product owners, scrum masters, agile coaches. One role which is very important to us, Jira and Confluence experts, so we can be managing these projects in an agile way, and also production experts. So finally, I would like to mention to you what we consider a successful rollout. So what often happens in companies is that they will do many different individual pilot projects. One business unit will do a data science pilot here, another one will do one in another place. And this is great. This is data science, but it's not digital transformation. And if we are doing digital transformation, what you actually need, you need a pilot phase which happens in one location or one business unit. You then need a proof of pilot, and this is what we do. We have a proof of pilot which might happen on a second site in the same business unit, just to just to weed out any small issues which might happen when you're transferring data from one location to another, a data product, from one location to another. And then you have the rollout, which is where you might roll out the product to all the other different plants or factories in a certain business unit. And the point I want to emphasize with this is that we consider that it's only a successful project when it's a successful rollout. And this is essential because this means that a certain process in the company has been digitalized. And it's not just in individual silos. So it's now commonplace that we do a certain process in a digital way. And for us, this is transformation. And this is how Mondi does digital. Thank you. I believe I also have time for any questions if there are. Otherwise, I will be available at the end.